So it's Denis against Argento, Stark against Night's Watch for a place in the final in the top half, and in the bottom half it's Bamboo with Greyjoy Aloof against Radek with Greyjoy Fealty, which are two pretty similar decks, I would imagine. And let's have a look at the Greyjoy mirror. It's just started. Time of plenty against the Maiden, so one going for initiative, the other a safe opener with some draw. And yeah, the board state. So it is the challenges phase, which means both players have marshaled and one has a bunch of low cost characters, and a big one here with Balon, who of course at the start of the game cannot do much. He did take Baylor Black Tide, and on the other side only the two characters, we have Lucas and we have Victarion. And immediately having to claim the dupe, I think, here, which puts him at risk against Morghulis. Although, as I mentioned, Aloof cannot play Risen from the Sea anymore. It's in a pod with the agenda. Looks like Lucas didn't even trigger. I think there were no defenders declared, so looks like there is just no reason to put any gold on characters in Radek's deck. It's just here for the intrigue icon. Okay, and this can even the board state a little bit. So we have draw on one side, and we have first Snow that leaves an exposed Balon by himself in the current situation against two characters, and nothing much coming onto the board for either player because of their low gold value here. So one decent character at best, and then eager deck, and of course only stays on the board if he comes after the forced reaction is already passed. So enough gold to put something on. Euron. And just missing one to get silence as well. That can get the deckhand back. And he gets cancelled. It's useful. So Euron and Balon, that takes the cancel away from Balon, of course, unless Radek has another one. And currently this is the only character. Going for enough to guarantee a win, unless Fanatic is put into play. It's not one that you would necessarily want to claim, because that pile is a good place for him. If he's used, he goes into the discard pile. It's tougher to retrieve him. Yeah, just to be safe, stop unopposed with 3 gold left. There could be something annoying like Bloody Cup or something like that. Ha, and there is something annoying. There is Put to the Sword. That's one I don't think we see a lot in this type of Greyjoy deck. We could have seen it, of course, back in the day with the core set meta, where it was the only real kill effect that you could do. But in this game, of course, with the lack of reasons, gets rid of Euron nicely. And it was important to have some claim soak as well now for Bamboo. Shuffling Put to the Sword back, so Isle of Ravens can be used to counter Balon a little bit. Currently there is nothing except for Victarion, who is already in play. And there is still some stand available, not for the Intrigue challenge, but Victarion can defend himself. He can just about defend himself, I think, against Balon and his Ironfleet Scout. But he would need to concede the power challenge then. Okay. Now is there another stand? So it's limit twice. Did he stand already? Okay. Okay, happy to just pass. Yeah, so Bamboo got out of this in a pretty good situation after all, even though Euron was killed. He has the card advantage and the board is arguably equal here. We take Westeros against Nothing Burns, so Nothing Burns gets rid of Maiden's Bane. There's no attachments, and there is some soak for that on the other side, using Black Wind instead of the 0-cost warship. Okay, Raider can take something back. Actually, Isle of Ravens was discarded, fair enough. That was useful against Balon though. And Asha comes into play. So if he wants to take something, it will have to be with Lucas. Maiden's Bane already in play. Black Wind not that great. Gives Asha renown. And here he can take the warship back, or economy, or the Isle of Ravens. And now Balon will be annoying because he has targets in the discard pile and also the threat of Dagmer, so he takes a location. If he wins alone, that's currently Maiden's Bane. That would be damaging. Let's see if Asha can dig for Drowned God Fanatic or something. It's only a 5-card search, so it's odds against. And what now? Do you play around Dagmar? So with 1 Ironfleet Scout, he's 6, he can't beat Victarion. But Victarion is out of stand. And is there anything for Balon to increase the strength? No. It's costly if you have to play around that every round, I think. Not playing around it, so it does need to be unopposed. He can take Maiden's Bane. And there is a cancel, good for Radek, of course. So 1 dead, 1 discarded. Wonder if Asha did find it. And now the one from the discard pile gets put into play by Baron, so that will get shuffled back again to be found again. And 1 gold left. So we do not sow is an option. And here we go. Out of economy. But this one can be defended. Okay, so what's the Morghulis situation now? The problem is economy, so if there is a reason in hand, Victarion and Asha are still a decent board. If not, probably is not an option. And no reasons here, so Baron would survive, but there is economy to play out other characters. So Dagmar would die, Euron is dead. That leaves Victarion and then Asha from the big characters that would still be alive. And yeah, with the draw, something should be found here. And going first, he cannot find reasons, of course, as I said. Mix of Victarions, interesting. Okay, 5 gold, that's 11, 12, 13 and the agenda, so oof, 15 gold. Or 11 gold actually, what am I saying? Yeah, still enough for Asha and something else. Zero reserve, so needs to do damage in this round, and if this is the only thing he can play, that's trouble potentially, so couple of charts here. Yeah. And here we need some claims, so pretty desperately. It's claim 2. And Victarion will be stealthed. Okay, what's the balance situation now? Let's see. So there is the cat, Hagen's daughter in some locations. Stockholm intrigued now. The question is, do you win military if you do this? Two strength here, so I don't think so. But here we come with the bloody cup, yeah. That gets rid of Victoria, and now Asha will not be strong enough unless Balon gets cancelled. Something else as well. Gets rid of the location, so that's a 0 coster that can be cancelled. Victorian gets pillaged. And if there is no cancel for Balon, I think this is game over. Yeah, military first is the thing to do with Victorian on the board. Even the little one would work. Either one of them. So that Void's prize being given away and still wins the military and still leaves Victorian in the discard pile for future use. But what's the plan now? That can be defended. And Asha gets to search. Not sure why I wouldn't just kill her here. Okay, cancelling. Okay, Kerwin could have been cancelled instead, or even if you leave him to save Asha, and she is still somehow standing. It's a lot of damage done. Interesting. I think this was a slightly missed opportunity. Now the cards will be gone. Still a better board here for Bamboo, of course. More Econ, and Balon gets to bring in Victorian potentially. So it's still a plot away from winning potentially. Cancelling the search I think is well worth it, but does lose initiative, so Asha with Maiden's Bane will be problematic here, I think. Gorold has printed Renown. And Radek has nothing useful, just a fishmonger added to the board, 1 gold left. Asha can stand if she gets unopposed, but that's unlikely. And the discard pile has Victarion, both versions. Intimidate would might be even better. It has printed Renown too. Yeah, last turn was a little weird, so not surprised that it was an unintentional mistake. Okay, so Radek is passed in the hope of just somehow surviving, but there's 2 renown here. 2 renown and an unopposed, and then Victarion, who can also gain renown with refurbished Hulk. The 7 coster and the 6 coster is has printed renown anyway. Okay, can just the cancel left. Even without Victarion, they should be able to win this. Actually, what am I saying? This is already... the faction card is already nailed because of Outwit, so that was never an option. Yeah, has enough renown anyway. Yeah, tough one for Radek here. Not sure. We missed the very start of the game, but I think when I saw the board it was not looking great. So something like 5 or 6 characters against only 2. And yeah, tough to recover. He had to go for first snow, which didn't do as much as he hoped, and then Morgulis when there wasn't a real opportunity with you win or you die available, and of course counting coppers with all the economy. Yeah, so even after a good put to the sword on Euron, not quite enough. So Bamboo makes the what is this? The top 4 games. So this is he makes the final, and a chance for China to win 2 friendly open seasons in a row. Last one won by Robin, if I remember correctly, with Martel in the final event. So Robin played Dennis on that occasion, and we'll see if Bamboo plays Dennis this time. Or will it be Argento? And the situation is in Dennis's favor, but the defense is set up, so let's not be too quick. Crossing has got to 10, and still a challenges phase here for Dennis to increase that. Let's see if he's used his passive power. He has the winter festivals anyway, but heads on spikes. If he ends the round on 13 is an option. You can gamble and go for the win there. Okay, so what do we have? We have the Haunted Forest and the Wall, and we have the icons, but not enough of the little guys and the abandoned stronghold, or Halder missing, of course, for additional. Halder has he is on the board, but he has only a few cards to be used. So defending against the crossing challenge, which comes with +2 to everything, is not going to happen. And there is stealth on the intrigue as well available. Dice is stopped on the power challenge, so won't be getting any renown here, and that's 9 strength gone from the third challenge. But I think the wall can be knelt. Possibly card in shadows, which could be Obitator Assault. Maybe the players know what it is, not sure. And we saw Dolores Z in the previous game, so there is a way to defend intrigue for Argento, and still standing is also the Haunted Forest, so he could just leave it. And it keeps the wall standing. If he has Dolores Z, he might as well defend. Defends with the Haunted Forest. Okay, now attacking with everything here except for Dicey. I think it's 18 and the defense is 12. That's superior claim territory, but Halder has 2 practice blades now. What happened with Mira this round? Did she come in the challenges phase? Doesn't look like it, so nothing blanked. Now, do you play against around superior claim, or do you make sure you have enough for dominance? No superior claim. That's 13. And that's enough to win with heads on spikes if it hits. No. Expecting the reset and going for the crown. That is such an annoying flaw to this crown, and it keeps everyone alive, including the X characters. So you can keep, for instance, Small John, Donella, and Willem Manderley, and then your Mira, the Scout, and Daisy all survive as well. On the other hand, argento keeps the entire board as well. Selects Dennis to go first, because either he wins or he doesn't, so let's see if there is enough defense. Two stands. And now a couple of milks would be nice, one for Daisy, one for Small John perhaps. Okay. 4 builders. Oh, actually I thought it was abandoned stronghold, so never mind, doesn't help in the short term. He did use the flea bottom alley with 7 gold remaining, so I wonder if he has something he needs the gold for, or it's just using it because he expects this to be the final round. With the 2 armories, I think this is now a problem, because you need to properly defend 2 challenges. And this spends the hop possibly, or do you leave it? You leave it because you have 2 haunted forests, okay. So just getting rid of that -1 challenge. And now what's the military situation? So it's 10 on defense and 12 for the haunted forests before Halder. And here we have also 12 with 1 stealth. That wins immediately with 2 renown if that goes through. So I think that forces argento to properly defend. And then the power challenge with the 2 stands, I think, might be strong enough. Or it might not, so Janus Lind could be in shadows. That's a decent strength coming in as a surprise. Okay, and stealth, of course, yeah, that brings the power down, so even with Halder, maybe Ari in hand would solve it. Let's see, so it's 5. Old Bit Bone is 7. And then 9 for the haunted forests. Needs to find another 4. Is there 4? So Harder can do 2 triggers, and then Eastwatch can be nailed. Haunted forests, of course, cannot be nailed because they lose the 1 strength they contribute. So the wall would have to be nailed, I think, for this to be defended, unless there is another surprise. And there could be Ari for 6 gold available. There could be another practice blade. Maybe spare boot also could be used. Gives himself the military icon with by moving the practice blade. I think that works. And he can stand it, of course, for the second Halder trigger. But it's a lot of effort to defend the non-crossing challenge. Now if you can keep Maester Malin standing to then block Daisy for the third challenge, this might happen, let's see. "12 and needs one more. That's I think slightly unfortunate use of Halder before. He could have used both practice blades and gave Sparepud +2, and then he had another Halder trigger. He could use the Eastwatch, and if really needed the wall as well on the power challenge. I may be overthinking it, of course. We'll see now what the calculation is. So it's 11 on defense with 2 Haunted Forests, so it's 13. And Malin blocks Daisy, for instance. And here we have 8 currently, but stand available. Okay. So who's the second strongest challenger? It's Small John. Renown doesn't matter now because the crossing gets you to 15 anyway. And now it's quite easy to calculate, so it's 13 here, and on the other side we have also 13, and Halder has been spent, so it does matter that one trigger too many does matter. Now, is there any other trick in hand or on the board? So these don't help, and Halder, yeah, 2 triggers already used. Argento could have defended this with everything if he used Halder differently, I think, and he could have got the wall and lost dominance. So puts Dennis on 14, and let's see, so it's Harris revealed it's not a war plot, and 3 or more, there are 3 or more, so it yeah, he loses on price unless he gets rid of Small John before price resolved. So it was tricky one either way. And not to mention, of course, that Heads on Spikes is still in the deck. Yeah, using both practice blades on Spareboot before he was declared would have won by 1, and then he had enough with just with Eastwatch and still keeping the wall standing. That takes it into another round, but I think he gives prize away unless he gets rid of the Renown on Greyjoy before that. And there we are. So Dennis just about makes it. In a close game, this could have turned around if Dennis was just a few more power away from victory, but of course he would need to miss with heads, and then could start turning around, but priced given away doesn't help, of course. So ready for the final, which will be Germany against China for the second time in a row in the Friendly Open. And the previous time it was China that was victorious with Martel against Stark, and this time it's going to be Greyjoy, Aloof and Apart against Stark, crossing two decks that, yeah, let's say half a year ago would have been considered two of the very strongest decks in the game. Now, since then we had that little trio of Stark, Martel and Tyrell Lion, and now after the restricted list it's difficult to say. I think it's a much more even game, and quite a few factions that could be considered to be the top faction, to have the top competitive decks. I think pretty much everyone at the moment can win the big events, and we'll see what happens. So let's see if heads would have hit. %, yeah. I missed on heads when I had 67 in, or was it 75 in one of the games in a previous tournament to get knocked out. So you can never be sure. Yeah, if you have another way to win, you don't take that risk. You do something else. And I think the crown here was a very strong play. It kept the boards big, and of course +2 to everyone is huge for crossing. Okay, so let's join the final when it starts.